Smite 2 alpha test done and dusted. Here's my thoughts. All right, off rip. This is an alpha test, kind of a beta test. Early access terminology around the games industry has been absolutely power bombed to oblivion. But essentially, this is not, it's not like buying Slay the Spire in early access. This was a raw test, has nothing to do with beautification, just will it blend? So I'm not going to be talking about no graphics or font choice or UI. That's just not what we're doing here. We are just trying to see if the game works. Does the car go forward, and do I want to put a decal on it, right? And secondarily, I'm going to go through pretty quick. If you want me to dive deeper into any of these, let me know. I do have beads planned. You do have beads, and I'm going to dive deep into that because I think this is very, very important. But everything else we'll kind of just run through and let me know if you want me to go deeper. So right off, feel. So shout out High Risk Studios. They did invite me to their friends and family playtests over the past couple of months, but I have not gotten a chance to play them. I stream every day, twitch.tv/FStrike. So I wasn't really available to play test. Much love, but didn't get it. So this is my first impression. And overwhelmingly, I'm feeling pretty good. The feel of the game is important, and game feel is nebulous. How do you define it? What comprises of what makes up a feel, right? It's tough to define. But I got in game, I slam picked on her. Level 2, I jumped on a guy and impaled him into the wall. Done. I feel good. I could have closed the game right there and left. The good stuff happened. Later on, I hit level 5, you know, you do the whole dance, you pillar impale somebody, you jump and stun, and yes, it feels like Smite. And that's the most important thing. Smite's an action combat game, and does the action combat feel good? The answer is yes. It doesn't just feel good, it feels like Smite 1. I want Smite 2 to be drastically different, and it is, but I want the feel to be similar, if not exactly the same. And it is. So this was an immediate thumbs up for me. Talking about being different, the biggest difference in Smite 2 is the stats and scaling system. So gone are the days of magical and physical power. Gone are the days of 2 different stores. Zeus can buy Deathbringer now. And that's dope. Yeah, you can make some terrible build. On her does nothing with intelligence. So if you build a bunch of intelligence, like, he doesn't do anything, so rip you, dude. But I don't care. We can bowl without bumpers. So instead of magical and physical power in 2 separate stores, you've got strength and intelligence and 1 combined store. So characters like Kernanos, for example, your abilities scale off of one or the other. Your basic attacks scale off of one or the other, and they're not uniform. So Kernanos, his basic attacks scale with strength. So if you want to be a left-click to victory ADC GG guy, you build Executioner, you build Deathbringer, you left-click people, and they get hurt. That said, your 2 and your 4 aren't going to be doing a ton of damage. Bramble Blast and your big Polymorph Circle are going to hit people for the base damage, which is relevant, but you're really going to be leaning on those basic attacks. Or you can build Mad Int, and your ultimate will hit for over 1,000 damage. And your Bramble Blast is going to be ticking and murdering folks. But your basic attacks will feel a little dinky. And that's the trade-off. Really cool thing, by the way. The slow on Seasons of Change or whatever it's called, the one, scales with int. So if you build ADC, they're getting slowed for like, what, 3% or whatever? But if you build Mage, you build a bunch of int, that slow becomes like 25% on a basic attack. So this is very cool to me. Zeus ADC is now 100% viable because you can build Executioner and Deathbringer. You can crit now. And that is very cool. It puts player creativity at the forefront, which in my opinion is the goal. The best MOBA is an open MOBA, if you ask me. And this is absolutely opening up the world to player creativity. Also gives devs like a nice little space to play around. You can kind of make some busted stuff because you are limited by item slots. You only got 6 item slots. So you got to choose between int and strength and defenses. So I really like how this puts creativity at the forefront, mainly for the players, but also the designers get a chance to kind of mess around there. Active items are huge. Items now have a button. Like, there are passive items. Executioner still does it. You hit a guy, he loses prots, don't gotta press anything. But there are also active items. There's, you know, for offensive characters, here's a bunch of strength. Hit the button. Get 10% more strength for 10 seconds. 3-minute cooldown or whatever. That's cool. It raises the skill floor. Gives you something to do. Rip my controller players, you know? You gotta, like, hold a trigger and press a face button or something to pull it off. This is what my controller looks like. I'm down. I play WoW. This is not a big impact to me. This is not a negative thing to me. Giving me more buttons raises the skill floor. I'm down for Smite to become more hard. Like, that's sick. No complaints there. Also, I mean, when it comes to active items, the offensive ones, I don't know if they're boring, but the support items are way more interesting. You know, Dota has Sylvanas pull on an item, right? Smite 2 doesn't have that just yet. Instead, we have Creeping Curse. What is that? Horrific Emblem on an item. We've got AoE beads on an item. We've got a deployable thing, like little totem guy that heals the team on an item. So characters that you never would have put in a support position before, having access to these, you can be mad creative. And again, tons of room for activities with respect to the design space. Active items are dummy good. That word active, though, in Smite World means something different. Actives, beads, shell, creeping curse. Like, there's gone. Everybody gets beads. Even your support, even your solo laner. Everybody gets beads. 4-minute cooldown. You can't upgrade them. You can't change them. You can't get rid of them. Everybody gets beads. Not everybody loves this. Not only do I love this, I'm infatuated with this. I want to marry this. Beads for everybody is just so good. I need to give it to, I'm going to have a different conversation. But like, this is not only good and fun, it is important for the identity of the game. I love beads for everybody. And again, not everybody does. F-Dot going crazy again. But this is so important. I'm dummy excited about it. I do have some concerns about the store. Component building is now the thing, which is the way every single other MOBA in the world does it. League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, Dota 2, Overprime, Paragon. Like, that's just how it is. Instead of Mace, Heavy Mace, Jotuns, Crit Stick 1, Crit Stick 2, Deathbringer, you now combine a bunch of, how you want to say, generic tier 1s into tier 2s. So you get like, you buy like 10 strength, and you combine that with an item that's like 10 attack speed, and that becomes like a tier 2 that gives you strength and attack speed. And then you combine a couple of tier 2s to create your strength and attack speed Odibo or whatever the heck. I don't dislike this because it's like League, and that's a problematic conversation in and of itself. So I'm shutting down all you Facebook users that feel that way. I don't dislike this because it's like League. I dislike this because I think that my choices aren't meaningful. I got enough for a tier 1. Do I buy the item that gives me plus 10 to basic attacks? Makes my basic attack do 60 damage instead of 50? Or do I buy the 10% attack speed, which brings me from, you know, to unnoticeable amounts of attack speed? It just doesn't feel like a choice. So I don't know what it enables, but it doesn't feel meaningful. And I liked the streamlined version of Smite 1 items. It was different than every single other MOBA. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's a negative. I don't think that's a positive either. It just is. I don't even think that we lost some Smite identity. Like, I just don't think my choices are impactful there. Little side note about single stat characters. There's a jungle buff on the map that provides both strength and int. Late game 3000 pots now provide strength or int. You can buy both. Kurnanos and Zeus scale with both, so that's good. Anhur doesn't do anything with intelligence, so maybe he's just worse than dual static characters. I don't know if that's going to be a big deal, but worth thinking about. Map size. The map's thick. It's like wide, and I like that. But even with how much I like how thick it is, the lanes are still not too punishing to rotate because it's thick as a result of side jungles. There's a ton of neutral camps. The interact button is new and it's pretty cool. Again, another button, rip my roller users, but it feels, it's cool. I like it. The interact button, not much to say there. It's just neat. You got to push a button to pick up a jungle camp now, jungle buff now. Thumbs up, dude. But the map in general, I enjoy. The middle lane is a lot smaller and a lot skinnier. And I think that's going to drastically change the way that we play the game. When talking about Smite 2, I'm trying to stay away from words like solo lane and duo lane because you got to come in with a completely new mindset. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of melee characters in mid these days. Things are going to be very different with how the map is concerned and the overall meta of how the map is played with respect to who's in what lane. There is a long lane and a short lane. But I think things are going to drastically change for sure. Second thing about the map is the infamy system. This is pretty unique to Smite. Other games have jungle camps that get stronger throughout time. Smite's jungle camps now have an experience bar. The first time you kill the red buff, you don't even get a buff. You kill it a couple more times, you see the XP bar go up, it ding, fries are done. It's level 2 now, you get a little baby buff. You do it again, it hits level 3, bang, it's a big buff. Something I'm a little afraid of, but I love the idea of, is the invade. So if I invade your red buff, my red buff gains experience, and yours doesn't. And that deny is cool. I'm afraid of an incredibly oppressive invade-based game, which can be annoying. But on the surface, I love this. I think it encourages aggressive play, which of course can lead to punishment, which leads to objectives, which speeds the game up. Spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about game length and gold cap. Well, let's just hit that. Smite still has a low gold cap. You can just wait. Give me a bunch of championships by losing lane, and you can still kind of do that here. Less so, though, due to all the neutral objectives. So the Gold Fury levels up every time you kill it. Fire Giant does something similar. Late game Gold Fury, the Ancient Fury shuts towers and phoenixes off for 2 full minutes. Yes, VAM, end the game. Smite doesn't feel, because of the low gold cap, long games can feel repetitive. Like, I don't really mind that losing lane is a strategy, but the other way, the less charitable way to say that is that macro doesn't matter in Smite, which isn't necessarily 100% true, but it's not untrue either. And so making these very powerful neutral objectives is a good way to move in that direction for sure. And yes, end the game, dude. Because playing a 50-minute Smite game is very different than playing a 50-minute version of a different MOBA like Dota, for example. Because you're still kind of buying items. There's still something different. You know, there are items that only exist after 1 hour of play in Dota. And Smite, you're pretty much done with gold at minute 35. So those 45-minute games sometimes feel contentious and exciting, but often 4 of them die, 3 of you die, and you just sigh as you wait in grayscale and go back to the Fire Giant to dance around it again. And so I think these neutral objectives really speed the game up in that direction. And I've noticed more attention being paid to the macro big picture map in Smite 1 recently. And I think that design direction has been brought either to Smite 1 from Smite 2. Who cares? But they're paying more attention to the map and macro, and I think that is a very big thing. Stealth Grass is on the map as well, just like League. I don't care. Like, I mean that. Like, neutral. I made a couple of cool plays from the Stealth Grass. I got outplayed from the Stealth Grass as well. It's cool. If they took it out, I wouldn't complain. If they left it in, I wouldn't complain. It's just different. Worth noting, Hyris has made 3 separate games with Stealth Grass, and all 3 have the Stealth Grass removed. So, we'll see if they stick to it. But, all in all, whatever, dude. I'm down for either way. Big picture, Smite 2 looks dope. Again, majority is, does it feel good? Yes. Next, the systems of the item store and strength and in-scaling. It's just better than 2 separate stores. I don't know if that's objective or subjective. I certainly think it's better. It's deeper. And in my opinion, deeper is better when it comes to MOBAs, of course. The best MOBA is an open MOBA, if you ask me. I'm down to yap about these, more. If you want some more insight into any of these bullet points, let me know. I'm planning on talking about the beads change because Obama beads for all, yes, baby. So important to how Smite game works. So I am very excited. And in general, bullish. I think this leads to positive things for Smite as far as the game is concerned. Later on, we'll talk about audience acquisition, getting more players involved. That's a separate conversation. Artistically, is this a good game? Yes. And I'm dummy excited. Peace.